Okay, imagine a crypto project that promises to build a whole new financial world, right? A true revolution. Now, imagine that same project getting called a sophisticated scam as it completely collapses into ruin. Well, with Origin LGNS, both of those stories are true. So the question is, which is it? World-changing innovation or just a really, really well-crafted illusion? Let's dig in.
This quote from Crypto Moon Radar just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the two extremes of this story. On one side, you've got this incredible promise of a new financial civilization. And on the other, it just completely fell apart. So the real mystery we're going to explore is how something with so much ambition could fall so far, so incredibly fast.
To really get a feel for the scale of the hype, you have to start with this number. At its absolute peak in April 2024, a single LGNS token was worth almost $85. I mean, that was the moment of peak belief, when the vision felt not just possible, but like it was definitely going to happen. And then, this. In just 2 years, the price completely collapsed by a staggering 95%. And look, this wasn't some market correction. This was a total wipeout. It just makes you wonder, what on earth happened?
So how in the world did they get to that $85 peak? Well, to understand the crash, we first have to understand the promise. And believe me, the vision they were selling was unbelievably ambitious.
At the very heart of it all was this idea, the algorithmic non-stablecoin. Now, yeah, it sounds super complex, but the sales pitch was actually pretty simple. They claimed they had created a whole new kind of asset that gave you both the stability of a stablecoin and the growth potential of a regular crypto token. It was supposed to be the best of both worlds, no compromises. And listen, this wasn't just about one token. Oh no. The plan was for this massive, 6-part ecosystem with LGNS right at the center. They were promising everything, from private payments to DeFi banking, even a physical debit card you could hold in your hand. This wasn't a project. This was a blueprint for a whole new financial world.
So, yeah, that was the grand vision they put on paper. But when you stop looking at the promises and start looking at the cold, hard market data, the story takes a very, very different turn.
Now, before we get into the timeline, you need to know this term, a dead cat bounce. It's when an asset that's crashing has this brief little price jump before it continues to plummet. It kind of looks like a recovery, but it's not. It's just a little blip on the way down. Just keep that in mind.
Because when you look at the actual data, this is what the collapse looked like. It wasn't one big crash. It was this relentless multi-year decline. A 73% drop in 2024, another 55% in 2025, finally bottoming out at just over $4. For investors, this was a slow, painful bleed out.
So, what gives? Were there warning signs that everyone just missed? All right, let's switch gears and look at this whole thing from an analyst perspective. Because once you do that, you start to see a picture that is just filled with red flags.
Just look at this 2026 forecast from the exchange Bitrue. It is so telling. They figured there was a 40% chance the price would keep falling, and another 40% chance it would just go nowhere. I mean, think about that. Analysts were seeing an 80% probability that you would either lose money or your money would just sit there dead in the water. That is a massive, massive red flag.
So why were the analysts so down on it? Well, it really all came down to this huge gap between what was promised and what was actually happening. They promised decentralization, right, for the people. But the blockchain data showed the top 10 wallets controlled a staggering 99% of all the tokens. That is the exact opposite of decentralized. It's total control by a tiny, tiny group. They promised transparency, an open ecosystem, but the development team? Completely anonymous. So if something goes wrong, who do you hold accountable? The answer is nobody. For any investor, that's a gigantic risk. And of course, they promise security, a safe platform for your money. But the project smart contract, the actual code that runs the whole thing, it was unverified. That means no one on the outside could actually check the code to see if it was secure or, if it had some hidden backdoors.
And wouldn't you know it, when the security firm CertiK finally did get to audit the contract, what they found was beyond alarming. The audit showed that a single admin could drain all the money from the treasury. The original developer could just take back control whenever they wanted, and transaction fees could be changed to anything, basically to drain user funds. These aren't just little flaws, these are giant backdoors giving a few people total power over everyone's money.
So all of these red flags, they led investigators to a much, much darker conclusion. It moved beyond just, oh, this is a risky investment, to some really serious allegations of a deliberate and sophisticated scam.
In a really deep investigation, journalist Danny DeHeck did not pull any punches. He basically alleged that the project wasn't just a failed experiment, but a tech-wrapped Ponzi cult, suggesting the whole thing was designed to be a fraud from the very beginning.
So what does that even mean? Well, a key piece of this allegation involves a pyramid scheme. And that's basically a setup where the money from new recruits is used to pay off the people who got in earlier, all while making it look like there are real profits.
And this breaks down how investigators allege it all worked. Think about it. If the main token was crashing, how is new money coming into the system? The report claims it was through this multi-level marketing scheme. Users were pushed to recruit new people. Then they had to donate their own crypto to climb the ranks, and in return, they get a cut of the money their recruits brought in. This is the textbook definition of a pyramid structure.
So, when you put it all together, what are you left with? You're left with two completely different stories, both centered on the very same token.
On one side, you have the promise, the world's largest DeFi protocol, a new financial civilization built on security and freedom. But on the other side, you have the reality that the critics and the data show us, a 95% crash, being labeled a Ponzi cult, critical security flaws, and a recruitment model that looks an awful lot like a pyramid scheme.
At the end of the day, the story of Origin LGNS is really just a powerful, powerful cautionary tale. It just goes to show you the massive difference that can exist between a project's marketing hype and its actual underlying reality.
And it leaves all of us with a really critical question for anyone in this space. In a market that is just overflowing with hype and grand promises, how do you tell the difference between genuine innovation and a carefully crafted illusion? That's the question we all need to be asking.